Husband, Pastor John F. Ramsey Sr., JR Ministries, based on faith, family, and finances.
Yes.
It is Friday,
Yes.
TGIF.
Yes, we started a few minutes late because of the siren. Remember last time?
Well, several times, because we've been doing this now over almost a year.
Yeah,
we've been doing it, and it always happens. I don't know the exact date that they do that test. It went off the other day, and I thought it was possibly a tornado because of the weather.
Right. Right.
And I think that was more so like a warning when they did it that day.
Yeah, but it's caught us a couple times on Friday, though.
Yes.
Well, hey, happy Friday to you. Hope everybody's having a good week. Thank you so much for joining in, being a part. Give us some love when you come in. Give us a thumbs up, fist bump. Give us a little bit of something. We've got a great guest today. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. We're very, very excited about this couple. They're going to be a part of the conference this year for Full Gospel Marriage and Family Conference. And they'll share a little bit with us. We're also going to just talk about the subject of marriage today. And, what you can do and the things that you desire in your life. How tangible is that based on scripture, that God is able to do exactly what he promised he would do with two willing participants?
Right. And if you're not married, if you're single and you're on the thread, it kind of, we talk about dating too.
Yeah. You can't have one without the other.
Right. What it takes, what you look for, do you date someone, with kids, without kids? How do you blend the family? We talked about that last week. If you didn't watch last week, make sure you check that out with Pastor Kim and Pastor Steve Outlaw.
Yeah.
They did a great job, sharing about what it's like to have a blended family. Can you talk to them about the conference that's coming up?
Yes. Full Gospel, our Marriage and Family Conference is coming up. It's going to be on the 15th and 16th of April. And our theme is home improvement. You know why? Because no matter how great your situation is, everybody's home can use some improvement. And we have incredible speakers. It's going to consist of basically 4 general sessions that you'll get access to, and 15 learning labs with teachers, as in Lady Ramsey here, teaching on parenting with purpose. There's going to be so many different classes that are available. And then if you're single, you can't say, there's going to be one conference. You can't say, well, this is just for married people and that type of thing. No, we have one of our really good friends, Pastor YPJ Miller out of South Bend, doing a class for singles called Doing It Single, but Doing It Right. Mm-hmm. We have another class on single parenting. So what we really strategically tried to do is have something for everyone as best we can this first time out of the gate. And I'm just telling you, it's going to be incredible. Our presiding bishop, Bishop Joseph Warren Walker III, Lady Stephanie, Dr. Stephanie, his wife, they're going to be kicking everything off. The first session, the general session, will be our bishop, and they're going to be talking about making it all work. I mean, if you have a bishop that has a church, 25, 30,000 members, and is in great demand all over the world, and then you have a wife that is incredible in her own right, and she's a medical doctor and very respected everywhere. How do you make all that work, still have 2 children, and come home with your sense at night? So good. I'm just really looking forward to that, because that's going to be powerful.
It is. So make sure, one thing I do, as soon as Pastor starts talking, I share. Invite people to be a part. I tag people. So I always do what I'm asking you to do. So I tell Pastor, sometimes he'll pick up his phone and I say, honey, I'm making sure that I invite people, because a lot of times people will forget. And they like being a part, they like listening. And then when they see me share it multiple times, they'll say, okay, that's right, the family room is on. Or tag someone that can listen while they're on their lunch break or while they're at work. Right. If you have an elderly parent or a friend that's on Facebook, say, hey, check out Pastor and First Lady. Take a listen to that.
Absolutely. And if you don't have no friends, this week you need to get you some friends, so that next week you can invite them and bring them on to be a part of what we are going to be doing.
Yes. So thank you for joining us today in the family room. And we're going to have a great discussion with some friends of ours. When they come on, we're going to let them introduce themselves. But the last thing before we start our conversation, did you tell them about your book? Every time we get on.
But I have to do that. You're right. Yes, I got to get better at that. My book, Money Before Marriage, I'm telling you, you got to get this book. I think I've written 6 or 7 books. This, I believe, and One Night Stand, which is the one that deals with avoiding the pitfalls of ungodly relations. I believe those are the best 2 books. I really do.
So what are your best 2 books?
Well, maybe those 2, and then, maybe
it's okay.
Smart Money.
What are your best 2?
The first one is the Money Before Marriage.
Okay.
But I also believe that this one that we released last year, I think that's something everybody ought to have their hands on.
And which one is that?
And that's One Night Stand, Avoiding the Pitfalls of
Okay.
Ungodly Relationships. You can get it on Amazon. And the great thing is, I got the email the other day. You can now get The Money Before Marriage. You can get it in an Audible book from Amazon, and you can get it on Kindle as well as iBooks. So any way you want to get, you can get it. And just looking forward to getting your feedback. Now, for those of you who have read the book, do me a huge favor, because everything is about ratings when it comes to books. Go back to Amazon and do a review on my book, if you would, please. I greatly appreciate that. If you did not like my book, do not do a review on my book. And so far, we haven't had any of those.
Yes. So make sure that you do that. And subscribe to his YouTube channel. So we're getting all this out the way.
Oh, can I do my commercial?
Go ahead. You got a commercial?
No, my YouTube commercial. You know.
Go ahead, honey.
All right, watch
Go
this.
ahead.
Okay, here we go. Hold on, y'all. I'll take a minute. See, that didn't take too much. You know, we good. We back.
Give him some hand claps. Give yourself a hand clap.
I think I will. I think I deserve it.
I know. So let me ask you this question before we pull our friends on. How much time do you spend
doing those things?
Like learning that, like, yeah.
I used to be honest with you. I used to waste a whole lot of time because I wouldn't be able to get it. I wouldn't be able to figure it out.
I'm not saying it's wasting time,
but,
because it's always good to learn. But you know what is funny? Okay, when people do gaming, you never understood why people did gaming.
No, I didn't.
Okay, now you understand.
See,
this is your form of learning, gaming, compete. Like, you love that.
I mean, I do love it because I like the tech stuff. I'm a nerd.
Yes.
I'm a nerd wannabe.
Okay.
And so I like the tech stuff. So ever since we started COVID, I wanted to learn as much as I can, because I never want us to be in a position where I can't minister to people, we can't minister to people, or whatever the scenario is. But then also I like the stuff that comes with it.
I know, but it's not all out of necessity. It's not all out of necessity. But check this out. Robert said you done got all fancy. He had a new word that he put in there, but he said you done got all fancy.
Oh, don't be Jonah now.
So they gave you all your hand claps. And then look here. Look, Robert said, these men be supporting their pastor. That's my pastor.
That's right.
Robert said, they all great. You know, great reads, great gifts. That's my pastor. You got that book going on.
See, that's what I appreciate about the brothers.
I know, all right.
They know how to look out. See, ladies are incredible. You never have to worry about ladies supporting, because they always the first to show up strong. So my brother's stepping up. I ain't mad at nobody.
Yes, and the last thing before we bring our friends on, it says prayers. This is Marvin, who, you know, he and Jack here with us all the time.
Yeah.
It says, prayer for my family here in Illinois. We're here attending my niece's funeral. Keep us in your prayers. They're coming back home on the highway. We're still on the thread. God is faithful.
Wow.
So our condolences and prayers go out to you, Jackie and Marvin. We thank God for you, and you're still listening on the drive.
Where they coming back from?
Illinois.
Illinois. Okay.
Yes.
Y'all be careful, man. Be safe. You know we love you. You know we appreciate y'all. And man, we can't wait to get a chance to see you once church starts opening back up a little bit. But
definitely,
y'all be safe. Be careful. And thanks for always being. I always know y'all gonna be in, so I'm always happy about that.
You know, Marvin gonna be there to support his pastor.
Marvin gonna be in the house.
His pastor. Landis, don't be laughing at pastor.
Was that Landis Archie?
That's just gaslighting. When y'all be laughing and saying, "Go, pastor," and pretty soon Warren will be on here. Oh, there she go. That's my look. I knew. Look, what does Warren say? That's my pastor. I told you it was coming.
Big Daddy in the house.
I knew it was coming.
Big Daddy in the house. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate the love. Y'all are encouraging me to develop my skills, my tech
spiritual
skills.
Children. What's gonna happen, y'all? We gonna be 65 and 70, and you're gonna have him like saying, "I can do it. I can do it." Yeah, pastor, you can do it. And then y'all baby's gonna be like, "Oh, pastor, go, pastor."
Right, I'll be 80 trying to do all that stuff. All right, here we go.
So here are our guests.
I think they coming in the house.
Yes.
All right.
You got this. Check that out.
There they
go.
go.
There
they go.
Right.
Hey.
Y'all made it. Y'all made it.
Good to see you.
Yes,
What's
sir.
up? How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Doing incredible. How about you guys?
Good. Wonderful. How are the children?
Great.
Yes.
Now,
we're counting down the days to spring break.
Well, okay, but I heard that as a mommy. You said great.
We
That's
just
all.
counting down.
He
We
said it
just
like
count
he's
down
tired.
for spring break. We just count down for spring break, girl.
So I see. How did y'all make it together? Because I knew y'all were in different places.
She made the sacrifice, just for y'all. She's like, she gonna get the hair and nails done later. She made the sacrifice.
Oh wow, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Just for that, your husband need to take you out to eat tonight. That's what. Now,
you gonna put it on me, right? It's on me.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my screen back. Trying to get my screen back.
Here he goes with this technology.
Now, this might be tricky here, but last week I was straight. I was straight with it. Okay, let me go. Pray.
Are y'all praying? Keep praying for the pastor. Keep praying for the pastor. As he works on it. Now you did the bomb last week. You were on it.
I know. I was on it.
You were down here.
Don't put no pressure on me.
But you were here for 2 hours in front of me.
No, I was doing my meetings this morning.
Listen, I need you to get off. I need you to get off my man right now, okay?
Thank you. Can I get some love? I appreciate it.
That's my Tesla friend. You're my friend. My friend gonna let me get a Tesla.
You see how she does, man?
I'm just calling it what it is. Man. That was it, babe.
I had it right. That was back then. Okay, let me go back to it.
What you do?
There we go. No, that ain't it.
There it is. No.
That's right. We on here twice. I told y'all. I should have left it alone. Let me go back. Now I got 3 of them. I was doing good. Everybody giving me my love, my props. Okay, let's go back.
Okay, come on, babe. There's 3 of us on there.
Okay, all right. We're just gonna go like this.
No, you can do it. All right. You did it last week because I don't want to learn how to do it. So I know you got to learn how to do it. Is it just one? Just hit that ad and does it do it?
I'm hit the ad.
Hit that.
See what happens.
Boom! Don't touch nothing else. There it is.
Okay, so we need to adjust.
I just said don't touch nothing else.
One more time.
Hit ad. Don't touch anything else. Right there. No. How did that do that?
That's how we do it.
And maybe add them left.
No.
And it does too. Yeah.
Try
one more time. Don't touch it one time in Jesus' name.
One touch for it in Jesus' name.
In Jesus'
name. In the
name.
name of the Father, the Son.
Don't touch nothing else.
And the Holy Spirit. There it is.
Okay.
All right, y'all. We in now.
Oh, look, they going in too on us, babe.
I got it. Look, they got me in there with 15 screens. They're killing me now.
We're trying to figure out how to get on screen. Let's see. We're trying to figure out how to get on screen.
No, you guys are in. You're in.
We're in.
We're trying to squeeze in a little bit more.
We can see both of you better, and then
we gotta lean in like
come in on my side.
Yeah, so I gotta improve my screen size.
We're gonna do the whole one like this,
right?
Or the other way. Which way is it that you gotta come my way?
Right,
like this.
But hey, guys, we're glad you guys came and hang out with us a little bit. But we want to kind of just talk about marriage. You know, you guys are gonna be.
You gotta put your face on the screen.
A part of the conference. Yeah, you guys are gonna be a part of the conference. We're excited about that.
Yeah.
But then, really just wanted you to come on, introduce yourselves, who you guys are, what you do, and then, what class you're gonna be talking about, and then just kind of ask you a few questions.
Okay. What's our class, Ramsey?
So much for preparation. So much for preparation. Their class is 2 goals under one roof, and that's
2 goals. That's it. 2 goals under one roof.
Yeah, getting on the same page in marriage and that type of thing.
No, we're not gonna let y'all down. We are not gonna let y'all down.
But yeah, just tell us a little bit about the church, yourself, your marriage. How long you guys been married? Things like that.
Okay.
Go ahead, Beck.
Oh, great. So Beverly Auston, Bethel Empowerment Church in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And we've been married.
You stuttering.
I know. But only because our anniversary is coming up. Only because our anniversary is April the 27th.
Okay.
Booyah.
How many years we been married?
21 years.
Okay, all right. Normally it's the man that forgets. It's her that forgets.
I'm just a little bit.
Yes.
Yes, we've been together, but we were together 6 years prior to getting married. So we've actually
minus that 1 year that he quit.
We don't need to bring that up. We don't need to bring it up. We always got to bring up the past.
I'm just saying.
We don't need to bring up the past.
Okay.
Yeah. See, I was hoping you might be. I told him it might be good when he told me this morning that you might be at another location when we do the interview and we try to bring you in from there. I said that might be safer for you, so you don't end up getting choked on camera or nothing.
Right, seriously.
I told her, but she still got to come home, so it don't matter.
Right. Yeah. But no, we're glad to have you guys. You guys are doing an incredible work. Of course, we've had you at the church every time. You're blessing. Been with you in other conferences, and we're really looking forward to it. Can you guys maybe speak to a little bit about what you see in marriage nowadays and why something like this is important? Why people need to make the investment? You know, one of the things I've been saying is you don't have to buy a ticket, you don't have to get a hotel, you don't have to do any of that. You just have to register, and then you have access to all of that for at least a month, if not more. And you got all that information at your hands. You know, it's almost impossible to not improve something in your marriage and family with all that material.
We agree. Marriage is absolutely hard work. And to me, you got to work at what you want it to be. And that's a consistent process. It's a consistent refinement. And because the nuclear family is under such attack to break up the identity of the marriage and the power of marriage and what marriage does for our communities, for our families, for our legacies, I really think we got to have a conversation about legacy in marriage and what type of legacy do we want to leave behind? Because right now, that legacy, if we're honest, is under attack. What would you say?
Absolutely. And I just really want, my biggest thing with marriage is for people to just completely eradicate the option of divorce. And so that's really one of the key things that I'm so glad that you all are doing this, is because I think people, a lot of, especially today, are going into marriage because they think there's the option. If it don't work, I can get out. Right. And so I would love to eradicate that option, and then to begin to replace that with tools to be able to work it through, because marriage is amazing and it really, really can be the best time of your life.
Yeah, it really can. And one of the things we talk about sometimes is just people learning how to navigate through the challenges versus leave during the challenges. Right. And I think that plays such a major role. And in my opinion, that's where the maturity comes into the relationship. When you mature, or both parties mature to a point where somebody's not storming out or threatening this or threatening that. You know, one of the things we've tried to never do is even let that be in our mouth. You know, that just wasn't going to come out. Now, some other stuff might have came out, but no, I'm just joking. But right. That we wanted to be a part of our conversation. I don't know that we've ever had any discussion anywhere close to that.
I know we talked about when we were on the thread together for Full Gospel. You guys have learned over the years how to communicate with each other. Can you share a little bit with them about your style of communication? Because it's different than our style of communication, but it works for you.
I want to hear your wife's communication.
Well, you stop.
I keep telling you, she's on the south side of Chicago.
I am.
And I don't know why you
Racine, baby. Racine.
I don't know why you start stuff.
But no, one of the things, I come from a family of very strong women, and we didn't take no stuff. And that's kind of how I was raised. Like, you don't take no stuff. You don't let no man run over you. You don't let no man tell you what to do. You have your own private stash. You know, that's a whole nother conversation. But and so you always prepare for if he leave you. And that was just so crazy. And so growing up and seeing that and seeing a lot of arguments, I didn't really see a lot of healthy communication. And I came into marriage like that. I came into marriage literally ready to fight. You want to fight? Let's go. We can fight. You know, that's the Chicago in me. Yeah. And so I'm just so thankful he never put his hands on me. He probably wanted to shake me a few times.
I did. I ain't gonna never. I never wanted to hear that, but I sure wanted to.
But we were such, and I was a fighter, and I was so, and I think I was such in a place where you're not going to get over on me. And I really didn't come into marriage with this idea of partnership. I came into the marriage really with the idea that I got to win. And so I had to grow and learn that. And I was a runner, so I was horrible at communication. If we would fight and you would piss me off, can I say that? And you would tick me off.
We'll edit it out later.
We got to edit that out. And literally, but I was a runner, and because that's what I saw. And so if the conversation got too heated, I would leave. And literally, I don't even know if you know this, but one day we were in Vegas, and he said, "If you leave this time, don't come back." And I was like, "Oh," and he's serious. And that statement, he said, "You have to stop running, and we got to work it out." So we literally, I think we went in 2 separate rooms, and we just started texting. Because I didn't know how to communicate without screaming and yelling and so forth. And that's literally where it started coming about. is texting, so then that way I can kind of get my point across, because I didn't feel like he was hearing me and he didn't feel like that I was hearing him. And so texting for us took away the emotion and allow us to see the words to really hear from each other. And that has been the greatest communication for us in our heated moments, and we get it all out. And then we come together and say, okay, now point number 1 in your text.
Right.
We literally go through the text messages.
Literally.
And so for you, Pastor Jathan, what got to that point where you were like, I'm just tired of this cycle, you know, that we get to address a topic, but then it blows up?
I think honestly, I was committed to her, committed to our marriage. And I really, after seeing what I grew up in a very healthy home in terms of how I was raised, but an abusive home in terms of how my father cheated so much on my mother. And so because being raised in that dichotomy, a very healthy, very peaceful home, that's the kind of home I wanted. But at the same time, without the adultery that would be connected to it. And so I really wanted to understand her. But at the same time, I realized I had issues of anger and her pushing my buttons. And so I was trying to learn how to work through that emotion, because while she was raised by strong women, I'm raised by alpha men. I tell people I feel like I'm a recovering chauvinist.
Just a little bit.
So my grandfather had a certain way, my father had a certain way. And so for me, it took the level of maturity to start to grow into, I really want to understand her. And her grandmother actually said something to me that really changed my perspective. And she said to me, listen, Jathan, you two are meant to be together. And it is going to be up to you to make sure that happens. And that really kind of changed my perspective for a moment. I was like, you know what, the responsibility is on me. Before, I kind of felt like it was her responsibility to make sure the relationship was moving properly. But then I realized it's ours, but at the end of the day, it's mine. As the head of the household, it's my job to make sure that we're creating a space of communication that we both can be heard. And when I grabbed that, I grabbed it, but then had to learn it, if that makes any sense. I got the revelation. Now I got to work it out with sanctification. You know what I mean?
Work it out. Lord have mercy.
With fear and trembling, I got to work it out. But that was a turning point for us. In really starting to grab each other's personalities. And for me, I wanted her to understand, like, you can't run. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not in and out. When I'm that kind of guy. When I'm in something, I'm all the way in. I can't do that. I'm in and I'm out. Either we're going to be together or we're not. And so that was my premise to her. Like, listen, if we're going to be together, then that's it. We're not having any other discussions about you leaving, you running, or you leaving me or going somewhere else. Because at that point, I'm like,
I was going home. Every time we fought, I'm going home.
If you leave, it got to the place I was like, you walk out that door.
He did.
He
was like, don't come back.
Don't come back.
And I was like, oh my God, I better stay.
Now, did you have your children at this time?
At that time,
thank God. No, thank God we only had my son, who was at that time still small.
And he wasn't living
with us. He was still living with his mother. And that was still something we were learning to work through, is how to have a blended family. Being married, coming in with that level of tension already there.
Yeah.
So that was really tough as well.
But I love that you worked some things out before you brought children into it. I see so many people, they look at it, well, I'm about to turn 30, I'm about to turn 35. Not looking at how jacked up things are in the house. We just need to have kids now. And then they bring kids into that dysfunction.
And they think that somehow the presence of a child is going to fix it.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, no.
It actually adds more stress. And I don't know if people realize that, because now it's bringing more attention into your marriage. Children, God bless their souls, they beautiful, but they bring more attention into the marriage, and it takes a whole nother level of intentionality to be married with children and to still have a healthy, thriving, spicy, marriage with fire. It takes a lot of intentionality with kids to do that.
Yeah, no.
And I wanted us to wait. Say it again. I'm sorry. Say it again, Apostle.
I was just saying, no question about it. I agree with that statement. And one of the things that I kind of borrowed from Dr. Miles Monroe from years ago, and I've taught it for a very, very long time now. And over the years, though, Jathan, Pastor Jathan, I found out that I had to grow into that and understanding it that way versus the man is the head of the house, man is the head of the house, because so many people think that way. But the way he described it, I borrowed that about 10 years ago, been teaching it ever since. Sometimes when I describe it to men, I describe it this way. Yeah, you're the head of the house biblically from the scriptural standpoint, but you have to look at it as being the foundation of the house. That
Mm-hmm.
all the weight of the house rests on the foundation.
Right.
And if that foundation is not strong, if it has cracks in it, if it has challenges with it, it doesn't matter the square footage, it doesn't matter the location, it doesn't matter if it's behind gated communities. It can't stand.
Yes.
Correct. That's powerful.
And I do that intentionally to try to help brothers in this area as well look at it from a standpoint that not, I'm the man and everything's got to be this way and that type of thing, because unfortunately some of us grew up with some of that, but some of what we grew up with was not scriptural.
Correct.
At
And
least,
we didn't know how to
in
empower powerful women.
Yeah.
You know, my grandfather married my grandmother, who graduated from college at 16. She was offered a job as an exec in IBM at 16 years old. But because of the way he was raised and didn't understand the power of a woman, he told her she couldn't take it. Now imagine where my grandmother and my family would be
Right.
that long ago in IBM had she had been able to take that opportunity. So they didn't understand how to empower the woman at the same time be in partnership with the woman.
Right. That's a great statement.
No, absolutely. So in your church, how do you get this new generation, the younger millennials, as Generation Z is coming up, how do you get them to understand the work that it takes in a relationship? Because it takes a lot.
Well, I think one of the biggest things we're trying to do, and we haven't been quite successful at it yet, but one of the things we're trying to do is get that generation to, even before they are thinking about proposal, but when their relationships get serious and they're having conversations about marriage, we're trying our best to get them to come in for counseling then, before there's a ring put on the finger. Because a lot of times once that ring is put on the finger, it's really amazing, because you can still have counseling, but they're so focused on that wedding day. A lot of times they're not really trying to deal with the real issues in that counseling, because they're too busy trying to pay the deposits on the wedding. And so many, if issues do arise, they didn't put in too much money on the wedding and they're afraid to now cancel. And so what we're really trying to do is when these couples are dating and they're serious and they're talking about marriage, just having these conversations, we're trying to work a way to get them to come in for counseling then, before there's even a proposal on the table, to begin to work some things through, to really find out, are you really compatible? Are y'all asking the right questions? Are you thinking about the right things in marriage? And then trying to help to surface, some of those issues in that part, before that guy puts that ring on her finger.
Right. And to also help them change their idea of marriage.
Yes.
Because a lot of them feel like, I'm never getting married. I never saw a good marriage. And so what we've been challenging them, then you be the first.
Yes.
Stop using what you didn't see as a reason not to still be in a healthy relationship. Right. Then you start a new legacy for your family, for your life, and you be the first. So try to remove the excuses of being a victim in the situations of what you saw growing up, and take some empowerment to that idea and say, okay, you know what? I didn't see this growing up, but I'll be the first to make this in my family. And so, and my wife said something powerful. We do focus a lot on helping couples recognize, before you decide you want to get married, let's start asking some hard questions. We believe this thing, you might be in love, but are you compatible? So we have this whole idea of, is love enough? We know you love each other, but how many kids does she want? How many kids do you want?
Right.
Does she want to be a CEO and not be a stay-at-home mom? And so those are deep compatibility issues that we all know, as being married to powerful women, overseer, that you got to be able to have that diversity in your marriage, that flexibility in your marriage, because she may one day say, all right, I'm gonna step off my job, and now I want to be that stay-at-home mom. Are you okay with that? Having those conversations prior can really set you up for success or failure, depending on if you have them or not.
Yes.
I think that's so important. The Bible says that by wisdom, And I used this verse the other night that by wisdom a house is built, and by understanding established.
Yes.
What it doesn't say, what's so powerful about that verse to me is what that verse doesn't say. It doesn't say by sex. It doesn't say by money. It says by wisdom. And it's amazing that all the things you guys did with your son, that you take them through to get them prepared to get that driver's license. But yet to get a marriage license, all you need is $18 and make sure that ain't your cousin.
Right.
And that's depending on what state you live in.
So it seems like so many people go in, and my whole point is so many people go into it without the knowledge for it.
Yes.
Not getting that knowledge.
Yes, most definitely, I agree. And when you both decided to have children, how did that take your communication to another level?
Having kids was tough.
Yeah, especially
I
the first
know
one.
it was very, very tough for me because I really wanted to be in corporate America. And so when we got married, I had my MBA, and then we moved. And so the move was already tough. And then, so for about 2 years we were in a whole nother state. So I had to make new connections, and I'm trying to find a job. And so then by the time I made connections, then we moved again. And so then we moved to Vegas, and I'm like, okay, I'm finding my rhythm, and I got the job of my dreams. And I made the right connections, and I'm like, all right, God, you love your girl. And so literally the day I had made my 1 year mark in this company, and he decided that it was time to move. And so we had just worked through having a son. We had my son, and my son was born prematurely. So that was very tough because he was born 3 months early. And so I didn't get to see him for the first 3 days of him being born.
That was more than that.
Yeah, so that was really, really tough. And so he was in a hospital for 3 months, and then I get this amazing job. And so we're navigating, and we're in a rhythm. And so having this son who had these issues at that time, and we're in a city where we're kind of alone, it was tough. It was really, really hard because I didn't know how to express what I was feeling. Having a new baby, I'm in this job, and now you're saying I got to leave this job.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to handle that. And I started to grow to resent not just him, but I started to resent, where's my place as a wife? Do I have a choice? Do I have a say-so in this? And so it wasn't just having a son, it was having a son and then being married to this man with this tremendous calling on his life. I did not know how to navigate that. And so then he had a job and he threw his back out. And so there was a season where he didn't work for a couple months. And I can say some anger started because he's a man's man. He gets things done. He takes care of his family. And so that season when I was working, he was home with the kids. Well, we had a son. And it was like, it was hard. So he didn't know how to communicate his frustration. I'm like, why are you so mean? And I'm like, yeah, I get to help the family. He's like, this ain't what I want. And so, but we had no idea how to communicate that. And we went into a counseling session. It was like, y'all gotta talk. And so then it was literally like, man, we're not talking. You're frustrated, I'm frustrated. And we didn't even realize we weren't even talking.
Correct.
And so literally having a conversation, I was able to see that he was struggling with, I'm not used to not working. Mm-hmm. And then he was able to hear me like, I'm just happy to be able to help. I'm glad that I get to contribute. Yeah. And so we were able to talk through that, and having a son at that time who had all of these needs, we realized we had to talk and talk a lot.
Right.
And so that was very helpful for us.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's powerful. One of the things I read the other day was about the pandemic, and some articles I read talked about how one particular company, it said that by April, that the interest in divorce had already increased by 34% from their website, from people that were chiming in on the website, downloading documents and so forth. And then it says, in fact, a full 20% of couples who have been married for 5 months or less began to seek out divorces during this period, which was previously only 11%. Now it jumped to 20. And so it's so many interesting things that I've read about that. And so basically what I was getting from all that information is that it's mind-blowing to think that divorce has exploded to another level during the pandemic. I guess because people got to be home to deal with each other. And who would ever think that a job would be the escape mechanism to help keep relationships together? And to me, and maybe I'm wrong, but to me, that speaks of a lot of problems right there.
It does.
Yeah.
I've actually talked to a lot of women in the pandemic who they were used to making their own decisions in the home because the husband worked so much. So they were used to being the one in the home making decisions, what we gonna cook. And they really did struggle in the pandemic of him being home, kind of interrupting her autonomy. And so this really did weigh on a lot of marriages, but some didn't survive. And it goes back to these tools we're talking about, Apostle. We got to have tools to be able to work through these situations. And one of the greatest tools is conversation.
Yeah, and two, you got to like each other. We get into the love factor, but you actually have to like one another, like being around each other. And if you don't, whether it's the pandemic or not, that's going to begin to weigh on the relationship. Because you can see couples that they don't even like each other. You know what I mean? They're sleeping in separate rooms. They don't talk. They live basically separate lives. So they're really just living roommates, but the pandemic exposed those that had strong relationships got stronger. Those that had weakened relationships got weaker. I mean, I think it just exposed what was already going on in the relationship. For us, it didn't feel like I didn't feel any other way. It was like we were already enjoying each other, so it just gave us more time to do that. So
I'm just glad I couldn't get pregnant.
Yeah. Yeah, there were some things that you got to do a little bit more often.
I think for us, we were okay early on. I think for me, at least, there were times where it was a little bit stressful only because, and it wasn't my wife at all. It wasn't my kids or anything like that. But then seeing what we're trying to get done and then seeing her working on her doctorate, and then now she has to turn around and be a part-time teacher with my daughter's online stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this gets to be quite a lot.
Yeah.
And, and she's one of the hardest working men, women, whatever that I know, period. And so she just keeps grinding until the job gets done. So those little elements of it was like, man, this is just a lot, It
is. I think we would have struggled the first 10 years of marriage if the pandemic would have hit, because my job was my out. It was my out from the church. It was my out from everything. I literally had a 30-minute commute, which I would get my mind right, do my job, then have my 30-minute commute home. So I loved it. And if that would have been like stripped where I had to work from home at that time and I didn't have that out, and his pace was different back then too, he was on it. It was 24/7 with the church. So it would have been, very difficult. And one thing that he and I both said, I remember, is kind of like what you're saying, Pastor Beverly. The kids and I had a rhythm. So even with Jeremiah having exceptional needs, Johnny was little, I had a rhythm with him. And then on the weekend, I had a rhythm, what we would do on Saturdays. And I'll never forget that first Saturday. He came and he said, "What are y'all doing today?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "What are y'all doing?"
I was like, "I want to go."
He was like, "I want to go." I was like, "You want to go?" Like, I was in shock. When I say with Jeremiah, I would travel with the kid. Like, we had a rhythm. If I needed to get my hair done, the sitter was already done. I would drop them off here, get my hair done, pick them up. Like, we had a system in place. We would hit the children's museum. So that time, and I would never forget when he said that to me. I said, "Huh? You want to come?" But I truly believe it was God speaking to him and saying that you were so busy and you were into providing for your family. We had a wonderful life. But yet he realized one day, like, I'm absent from that part.
Yeah, I mean, I had to spend so much of my Saturdays preparation, and I was missing some of that. And so I began to pray about it and really ask God to give me wisdom on this. I said, "God, when I was single and doing this, I sit up all night. I ain't got nothing else to do. So, but you can't do that now." And so I started trying to look at, I think he really started showing me more efficient ways to get the job done so that I can have a better quality time and balance with the house on Saturdays. I didn't want it to just continue to be like that.
Right. But I mean,
we went through the same thing.
Yeah, and we got to be honest, it was more than Saturdays.
Mm-hmm.
We were doing what God called you to do. And I was under the impression, being a PK, like you, Pastor Jathan, let him do what God's called him to do.
Mm-hmm.
I was not a contentious woman. I didn't complain. So I was like, well, all right, me and the kids going to do what we do.
Can you say that again, though? Because that is very true.
Yeah, I didn't complain.
One more time for all the wonderful people out there. No, I'm serious. You think I'm joking? I'm serious. All right, you need to say that again.
So I didn't complain, but it wasn't necessarily a good thing that I didn't communicate.
Yep.
I did, and when I did the doctor's appointments for Jeremiah, like I had a system. I had my caregiver, this sitter, like we had a system in place because I felt I was just supposed to let him, do his calling.
Yep.
What God had called him to do, and that was not the way it was supposed to go. He was supposed to be involved in the process.
Yeah, and so you just kind of weren't. I think if both parties are willing, that they love each other enough, that they're willing to learn and to grow into it. And because you're 28 or 29 or 30 or 31, doesn't mean that you've mastered life. You may have mastered your profession, but you haven't mastered marriage. And I think there's so many times people allow their ego from outside of their house to come back to their house.
Right.
Themselves think that they're experts on something that they got a whole lot of work to do on.
But to be honest, we were trained, to listen to your point, we were trained kind of improperly in understanding the balance in marriage and ministry. I was taught, you just go 100% for God and God will take care of your family. God will be there for your family.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
Right. Like my wife's like, I'm not married to God. I'm married to you. Like, I'm like, no. God's going to take care of you. You just let me serve. And I was gone all the time.
All the time.
When I say all the time, it wasn't just I'm gone all the time, thinking and believing that I'm doing the work and the will of God. Like I'm being a provider. I'm trying to be a good husband, but I'm not present. And it was the weekends where I was gone the most until we went out with the bishop, and that bishop said to me,
"What Bishop House?"
No, it was Bishop Dennis McMurray.
Oh.
It was Bishop Dennis McMurray. He told me, man, that word is in you. Go spend time
with your wife
and go be with your wife.
I was so happy.
And I heard him, but I didn't hear him. It wasn't until one day I was at church studying, and the Holy Spirit said, go home. Stop cheating on your wife. This is my bride. Go take care of yours.
Oh, that's good.
That's good.
Give him a hand.
And I was like,
we got to give you a hand clap on that
one. That awakening, that epiphany, I got up off my knees because, I'm laying out praying, believing God for the glory to fall on Sunday.
Yeah.
He's like, man, if you don't get your behind up and go home to be with your wife, and I've been doing it ever since.
And I loved it because it forced him to start organizing his weeks different, because I like to go. We like to go out. We like to have fun, and I had got trained that Saturdays was off limits, and that's a horrible thing when Saturdays is all we got because we work on Sundays. And so I was like, it became so when we didn't have any days off. And I thought you just, and so again, I went to church. I wasn't a PK or anything. So I just thought this is what you do. You don't get in the way of the man of God. But I was growing bitter inside, and I didn't even realize, because I was like, but he my man. Like, I want him too, Jesus. Why you gotta have him all the time? And so literally, I was so thankful to God. That was one thing I can honestly say, and my spiritual mother told me this. One of the things that I learned through that season was there was times that I would try to get things through to him through communication that I couldn't, but God could. And I can honestly say that was the season where I cultivated my prayer life like never before, because I had to go to God, because I just felt like he wasn't understanding. And it was literally through prayer that I just was like, God, you got to help this man see I need him too. And when he came home and did that, I was like, Jesus, you love your girl again, And so I was thankful for that. And that's a nugget even for women too. There's some things that God can get through to your man. Yeah. That your voice, you nagging them, you got to sit out. There's some things that God can get through to them in ways that us nagging them can never do.
And I think, my wife talks about that. She addresses that issue off and on. And I think it's so powerful because if how much strife can you save your marriage by knowing what to take to God and what to take to them,
It's
versus
powerful.
you just take everything you think to them.
Right.
It's a tremendous, it's a game changer. It's a game changer, but it takes maturity. Because if I feel like I gotta just keep coming to you with the same thing, then what I'm saying is with my action, I'm not trusting God's process. But if I
Correct.
start bringing this thing before Him, He can work it. Because maybe the issue, whatever it is a heart issue. It's the way we've been trained. It's the way we've done it before in the past. And I know for me, it took years of marriage. It takes God dealing with me. It took her talking with me and gaining wisdom everywhere I could. It took a package of all of that to start getting a better balance, because the way our house functions and with our kids, you got to be swinging, both of you got to be swinging at that thing pretty hard to try to make the things happen that need to get done. And I'm just glad for growth, because as you grow, things get better.
Correct.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, like you guys said, when you make the decision to stay, you made the decision we are going to stay together. So then you're going to work on it. What were you going to say, Pastor Beverly?
No, I'm glad you said that, because even when you decide to stay, you're staying to work on it and not making the other person pay because you decide to stay. And so I'm staying to work on it, not, well, I'm in it. No, I'm in it so we can work through this thing, and really, really work this thing to the end, and really both put our efforts in it together. And here's one of the other key things we say all the time. Once you get the thing that you've been praying for, I thank Him all the time. Thank you for coming, because I've been wanting it. And so now that I'm getting it, I make sure that that, man, thank you. I appreciate it. So this is a good thing, and same here. Like, okay, you've been wanting me to, one of our biggest things was the way I would talk to him. I think we talked about this in one of the other episodes.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what? He's
work.
like, babe, like, you can't talk to me like I'm the kids.
Right.
And I didn't get it. And so now he'll know that I'm mad, and I'll breathe. Like, I'll swallow that comment back in my throat. And I'll say, okay. And he'll say, thank you. Like, I know that was tough, but thank you. And so acknowledging the other person's effort really helps to foster continued growth in your marriage.
I think that's huge.
Yes,
and
yes.
One of the things that I think that the Bible has so much to say about it, obviously, but one of the things I've always enjoyed about Scripture is trying to make it connect with everyday real life. How do you put feet on this principle?
Right.
And when you think about the church is referred to as the bride, and Jesus is the groom. And if you think about it, and it's just to your point, if you think about it, when we go to church, what do? We praise the groom.
Yes.
And when we praise the groom, there's a change in the environment. And I think that there can be a big change in a lot of homes when the groom and the bride receive some of that praise that you guys are talking about.
That's good. That's powerful.
And for singles to understand, it takes work. They see, what you all have, they see what we have, and they feel like, well, because you're married to a pastor or a bishop or apostle, that we don't have things that we have to work on. We all have to put the work in. I can't say it enough. Recently, I'll be like, if you don't want to work, stay by yourself.
Yeah.
Stay by yourself.
And if you want to be selfish, it's okay. Just stay single.
Exactly. And we see so many people go into marriage and it just falls apart so quickly. And some of them, I literally tell them that one of the reasons why your situation where it is because both of you major on minors. Yeah. If you sit here and think about it, the stuff that we put out here on this table, how deep is that in the context of what God's going to do in your future? And it's just amazing sometimes. But I think that those are the areas that I call them maturity moments, because if you can press through those, you're going to grow, which means your marriage is going to grow, which means your family is going to benefit.
Yes.
I love that.
Constantly knowing how to balance the seasons in your life. As you all share, just like us, there was a season where I was more like a stay-at-home mom. In the beginning, I worked part-time. I had all these aspirations. So I wanted to be a principal. I wanted to do all these things, but it wasn't the season. So I had to pull back, and he wanted me home more. Is that what I wanted? No. But I trusted God, and I knew that if I followed the process, if I honored the plan, that God would open up those doors that no man can close.
Right.
And when I look back now, it's like, man, if I wouldn't have switched to park, did all those things to follow his plan, just like you did, Pastor Beverly, I followed the plan. If I wouldn't have followed the plan, I wouldn't have reaped all the blessing and the benefits that God bestowed on me for being submissive. That doesn't make you weak. You're still wise. You still have your strength.
Yeah.
And you still know what God has for you, but knowing his timing is perfect.
But she did it with so much wisdom, in my opinion. She did it with so much wisdom because even when you did that job core, what is it?
The job share.
Yeah, the job. She did job share for a while. And, she might have taught 3 days one week, 2 the next, that type of thing. So she really used a lot of wisdom. But yeah, it's tough, It's tough because no marriage can have what God wants it to have without both parties continuing to work on the relationship, continuing to grow, and continuing to change. The Bible said we're being changed from glory to glory. So if that's true, then who I am next year, I shouldn't be that right now, which means that even though we've been married for 25 years, we can't afford to stop getting to know each other because we're both trying to grow in this thing.
Yeah, that's so powerful. And I think, one of the things is marriages a lot of times fail because there's no vision in them. There's nothing we're trying to obtain together. I think too, you got to have something that you're trying to obtain together that keeps that knitting and that formatting happening in your marriage. Whether it's, hey, we both gonna have a credit score of 800, or we're gonna buy our first house, or we're gonna have this vacation account with $5,000 in it, or we're gonna take the kids somewhere. I think you have to consistently put some goals in your marriage that helps you continue to grow for those. What I see a lot of times, marriages don't have any goals. There's nothing they're trying. They're just married, and maybe that's okay in some instances.
Or their goals end up being individual.
Right.
They have these two things.
Yeah.
And then they never become one.
Right. And it's okay to have, which goes into our session, it's okay to have shared goals and different goals.
Yeah.
And one thing my wife and I've learned over this pandemic, we both learned that we've had very different goals, but we've had to do a lot of communication in those goals to say, okay, how does your goal still work in the overall goal of this family? I don't mind you having your goal, but I don't want it to disrupt the overall goal of this family. So have your goal because you need your own goal. But how do we make sure that these goals don't disrupt the symbiotic relationship that we've created over the last 20 some years of our relationship? So I think those things are tremendously important. So I would love to encourage couples, set some goals, not just for your marriage, but also for yourself.
And you don't have to like each other's goals. That's something we learned in COVID too.
Yeah. She didn't like my goals at all.
Only one of them.
Which one?
You want me to say it right now?
Oh, no, you can't. No, you can't say it.
You don't want me to say it right now?
No, you can't say
it. But you don't have to. And that's one thing. But we talk it out, and I was like, okay, I don't like this, and I hate that this is happening right now. However, I love you enough that you want it. And so what adjustments do we need to make? And I'm willing to do that, but it's a two-way street. And so you don't always have to like it, but I love it because you want it. And you're important enough to me that I'll make the adjustment to make sure that you can achieve what it is that you want. And I think that's a big part of marriage, is making sure that it's two-sided, and making sure that both parties are getting what they want and what they desire, even if the other party doesn't necessarily agree, but it's what you want. So I'm going to help to make sure that you can get it.
And for me, one of the things I've always appreciated about my wife is the fact that she has never demanded anything of me. She's never, I got to drive this kind of car. I got to live in this kind of house. I got to have 2.5 children and a poodle. I mean, it's never been any of that. But because that's not how she approaches life, her not doing that makes me go all out.
Correct.
And so when there's something coming, I'm ready to roll with it because it makes me want to do it because it's not a demand.
But yet we had to get to that point though. To where, because then, and I had to learn that a closed mouth doesn't get fed. So here I am becoming bitter, and see, for him, whatever he would want to do, cool, honey. You want to, sure, that's fine. You want this new car? No problem. He works hard. He deserved it. In my mind, I'm going, I would like this, that, but I would never say anything. And so he had to go, I can't read your mind. So here you are sitting here bitter, or you wanted to, go out of town for 2 weeks. I didn't know, because I only wanted to go out of town for 3 days. So you went out of town for 3 days, not knowing. You come back and you mad because you wanted to stay longer, but I didn't communicate.
And that was my biggest thing. My biggest challenge with that was, how fair is it for you to expect me to meet a need I don't know exists?
Right.
That's good.
Yes.
That's good. That's excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And that is most wives too, don't you think? Most wives, that's one of our biggest, struggles as wives is, I know I say it to him. We've gotten better, but now I used to be like, I just want you to know. I don't want to have to ask you for this. Some things I just want it to be special, because I do,
I'm a prophet to the nations. I'm not a prophet to my house.
Me either, not at all.
But we got to this place. He was like, babe, don't do that to me. So even like for birthdays, so what we do now is I'll give him a list. I like all these things, and what you give me from this list, I'm a love, but this is number one.
Yes.
And
I want the top 5 priority on the list.
And so we do it like that to take the pressure off, because it still would be special. Put some creative. He gets very creative in the presentation, but taking that pressure off of him trying to read my mind. Well, what she like this year? Last year she liked this perfume. Do she still like it? That type of thing. But I did used to put that pressure on him. Yes. Like, I don't like this. I don't like white. I don't like this bag.
That's like she just got a new vehicle, and I was on her every day. No. You're gonna pick out this truck, because I usually go get her car for bring it home. Hey, no. You're not gonna tell me after driving this car a year, like, I really didn't want this Mercedes. Oh, this the wrong Mercedes.
Hey, his Mercedes is a good Mercedes, that's good.
Time has really flown by.
I know, man. That's one thing about you guys, man. We love you both, and when we get to talking, we feel like we could do it for 3 or 4 hours. But I can't tell you how honored I am that you guys are going to share in the conference this year. Yes. And I really feel like God strategically gave me some leadership in who to put in what slots. Right. And I feel that specific one, I think, is tailor-made for you guys, even though you didn't remember it at the beginning of our
Listen, if you only knew what I had to go through today, I am in a whirlwind.
No, I got you. I know.
We get it. We get it.
So thank you guys so much for being a part. And of course, we'll be talking and everything, and really appreciate you though.
Love you guys.
Thank you guys so much. Love you guys.
Yeah, right. So take care. Make sure that you understand that we trust you both. We love you both. You're relevant for such a time as this, and your message is very, very important for the body of Christ today. So not only do we appreciate you, we love you, and we got you covered in prayer. Because my girl already know I'm just a phone call away. It don't take much. You ain't got to do no prophetic thing. Just call me. Just call me, and we'll be there for you both. So God bless you, and we love you both.
And Sister Auston, no choking on the video. So you can't be doing that. No Chicago on the video.
I'll just have a taser under the table.
You know what? That might be the reason why he's sitting so still.
You're pinching me.
You'll never know.
Remember how your mom used to pinch you under the table?
Right. Absolutely.
But as Raquel, it's funny you say that, because I recently, just recently, for the first time, I went to, pinch our daughter to do right. You would have thought,
man,
it was.
It was abuse.
She thought somebody shot her and ran over a bus. Ran over the bus.
It was abuse.
He ran downstairs, and he said, "What? She pinched me." He said, "Oh, she pinched." I said,
"Girl, we had to go pick out our switches. If you don't get over that,
right. I used to pray over that kind of punishment."
Unbelievable.
All right. Y'all be blessed. And listen, everybody out there, don't forget, they're going to be a part of the Marriage and Family Conference.
Yes.
Full gospel. Our theme, home improvement, is 15th and 16th. Yes. But remember, when you register, it's $59.99 for couples.
Right.
It's $39.99 for singles. But we got something for everyone. And once the 15 starts, you have access to all the content for 4, 5, 6 weeks. So it's definitely worth the investment. Make sure you jump on that and get involved.
Yes, as we close out today, make sure that you do your best to support the ministry. We look forward to seeing you, those New Life members, 9 a.m., 12 noon. We're still virtual. We have an announcement for you on Sunday on how things are going to roll out. Also, if you lose a loved one, you're going through a difficult time, make sure that you call the church, leave us a message so that we can support you during that time.
Absolutely.
And you possibly want to have Pastor Jathan pray us out?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys don't mind support Family Room, that what we do, you can text to give. The numbers over there. You can Cash App it however you want to do it. Or you can go to the church website and do it as well. Pastor Auston, will you guys take us on out in a word of prayer?
Absolutely. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this wonderful time of fellowship. We thank you for the Ramseys. We thank you for their poor. We thank you for the glory that rests on their life. We thank you for the leadership that they're bringing to the world and to Full Gospel, God. We thank you for new life. We thank you for this ministry going to another level. We thank you for Bethel Empowerment Church. We thank you for what you're doing for us as well, God. Now bless every couple, every person that's watching that desires relationship, or those that are just being content with just going through life and loving you and being a part of the purpose that you put in their life.
Yes.
God, we ask that you continue to keep us safe during this turbulent and troublesome time, God. Allow your angels to continue to watch over every last one of us, Father, as we matriculate through life. We ask these things in your precious name. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 Thanks again, family. We love y'all, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, love you guys. Peace and blessings.
All right.